Humans taste like chicken. Well, according to released Black Ops military patches, aliens, wizards, and planet-eating cobras. Sounds like a science fiction movie, I know, and maybe it is, and it doesn't make it any less real. What you are looking at right now are various clandestine special operations military patches that range from Area 51, Air Force, Delta Operations, 10-Cap, the NRO, maybe even the MIB. Now, thank you for joining me this edition of Leak Project. I am your host, Rex Bear. How the heck are you? So, these are not the only patches that I'm going to share with you. I'm also going to read a couple of excerpts from the Nag Hammadi scriptures, which are ancient texts that were heavily suppressed by the Vatican and other religious organizations and institutions and bloodlines that didn't want specific information getting out that would mess with their hegemony. It says, God is a man-eater. Literally says God is a man-eater, and that God created animals and then humans to take animals' place. And I'll read this to you in a minute. It's from the Gospel of Philip. What I find even more interesting, though, is some of these military patches. And the first one that I want to share with you, you've probably seen before. It's titled, To Serve Man. And then underneath it, it says, Gustatus Similis Pullus. What that means is tastes like chicken. Yeah, that's right. The spaceship that it's eating, you can see it's eating actually not a spaceship, a stealth ship. A giant gray alien eating a stealth plane. How does that work? Well, there is a division in Missouri called the 509th Division, and I'll share some information with you in a minute. But isn't it odd that above it says to serve man and below it says tastes like chicken? Well, is that referring to humans? Is that saying that humans taste like chicken and that the extraterrestrials gave us the technology for that specific plane, the stealth technology? Did we get that from Area 51, not Area 51, from the Roswell crash, and now they refined it in Area 51, Groom Lake? Well, then, let me go through this real quick. Let me just give you a quick 8-point bulletin note here. First one is going to be to serve man, tastes like chicken. The next one is called 10-Cap. And you can see on the bottom, that's another Latin term for let them hate so long as they fear. Let them hate so long as they fear. So first, as you can see, once again, you've got the gray alien above the eagle that's referenced in, that's used as the icon for the Air Force, which makes me think, once again, you've got the gray alien above Air Force technology. The Air Force got their technology from these grays, which I think the grays are suits for the Archons. Not all the grays, but many of the grays that people get continually abducted by, I feel, are meat suits, biosuits for the Archon interface to survive through the Serpent Archons. They're working with the Anunnaki. I think they're intertwined. I think that the Archons have actually taken over the Anunnaki and are doing their best to manipulate Earth to the point to where they can come here full time. Maybe they already can come here full time now. They're just doing their best to make it even more of a utopia for them and a hell for you and me if we let them, and others. So, what do we do about it? First of all, we have to be aware of it. I mean, pull up the dollar bill. Pull out a dollar bill, fold it up, and look at the symbol that looks just like this gray alien on the dollar bill. And it's got the all-seeing eye, the 8-pointed star right there in the center of its forehead, the third eye, the pineal gland. So you've got this, and I'm going to describe what all these mean here in a minute, all these into more detail, but I just want to show you the different patches real quick. This right here, this patch is the triple cobra wrapped around the world. I think it could be labeling the triad of death, the Archon control, maybe the Enki blood line getting infected by the Serpent Archons. And then, as you can see, this Latin term, what does that mean? Well, guess what that means, folks? Never before, never again. Never before, never again, the triple serpent cobra wrapped around the globe, the planet. Number 4. Well, first, before I get into that, Look at this statue of these, looks like gods and people being wrapped up by the serpent archons, by the snakes. Even they can't escape its grasp. You've got multiple gods and deities that are wrapped around by these serpents. The DNA is inside you. The serpent is inside you. What code does that DNA have that you are a part of, that has created a part of you? Not all of you, but a part of you. The firewalls, in effect. You can take it back 4, 5, 6, 7,000 years at least, and you can see these ancient Sumerian cuneiform tablets, ancient Mesopotamia, that show the serpents a part of beings as well. Remember when Duzamid wants to escape hell, not hell, but the netherworld. And he says, turn my feet and my hands into snakes, Utu, so I can escape. The modern day medical symbol, is the dual serpents. Even the medical industry has been overthrown, overtaken, enveloped, nanu, in these serpent archons. What about the serpent people? The serpent snake beings. You can see the Egyptian relics on their heads that are used in many rituals. See that right there? You've got the central point with the interesting dual phallus above it. What about the snake lion? How about this? I think this is interesting. There are many symbols and also relics that show lion people. Full-on beings, lion beings. What if the lion beings were even taken over by this serpent archon matrix construct? Maybe some of them escaped, and maybe that's why there's all these ancient relics of the lion people. Now we hear very little about it unless they're off-world. I remember Dick Algier and Daz Smith did remote viewing on the Phoenix Lights, that giant spaceship that tens of thousands of people saw back in '97. When they did a remote viewing session on it, they saw these beings that moved completely fluid and harmonious and did not waste any of their time whatsoever. They were like the apex archetypes of the ship, and they would morph into these lion beings. And then there were other beings beneath them that were kind of like their workers. I shouldn't say beneath them, but not as highly evolved consciously and weren't at the physical level either. So this makes me question also how far back the serpent influence is. If you go to the Bhavakakra, the Hindu will of life that is devoured by a huge demon that I feel I saw when I had that first shamanic experience into the netherworld. I don't even know if it was the netherworld. It was more like the elemental. I felt like I was in the elemental kingdom maybe. It almost felt like hell because I couldn't move, but I shared that with you guys yesterday. I don't want to get into too much, but just to give you a quick reference as well. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch the podcast. It's a very interesting show. Okay, so the next patch I'm going to share with you is the Desert Prowler, which has the deity of death. And you can see 9/11, alone and on the prowl. This one I find extremely interesting. Wanted to share one of the best for last. Alien Technology Exploitation Division patch. And this is at the very bottom. That's in Klingon. It says, don't ask. It's a Klingon patch. It says, don't ask. Alien Technology Exploitation Division. And I'm going to get into the official stories on these patches here in a minute. I just want to go through this real quick for those of you that don't have too much time. And the final patch that I wanted to share with you is the NROL 39 patch. Nothing is beyond our reach. National Reconnaissance Orbit Launch 39, number 39. 93 if you flip it around, which is a very powerful number in numerology. And I think of Hydra. I think of, from S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel, Hydra, the bad guys. Or are they? Well, Hydra, maybe the Enki division, totally controlling or wrapped around, has its tentacles around the entire planet. So let's go back now to the description of these patches. To serve man, man tastes like chicken. If you go to ufoinfo.com, Jim Hickman was interviewed, and the 509 patch was discussed. Jim provided a copy of a uniform insignia patch that he recently located for the 509th. It appears obvious that the 509th was identified on the insignia with the numbers 509, the B-2 stealth bomber. So they contacted the Air Force, 509th Division at Whiteman Air Force Base. Freedom of Information Act request, September 5th, 2003. He received a few days later an envelope with the patch in it. And so if you read through the questions and answers here that were asked and answered, it's kind of playing games with, I feel like the person that was answering the questions was playing games and not being straight with the journalist, with the person asking the questions. They don't really give a straight answer. Let's just put it that way. But you can read through this, go to the website. I'd like your opinion on it. But when they ask about the question at the bottom saying, why did you say tastes like chicken? Or when they asked about the Latin term there on the bottom, the Air Force representative responded back, this is supported by the alien figure apparently eating the B-2. Note, you have to appreciate the... let me repeat this. The Latin words, gustatus, similis, pullus, are shown at the bottom of the insignia. Please translate to English, is the question. The answer is, it's dog Latin for taste like chicken. This is supported by the alien figure, which apparently is eating the B-2. That's why I say that they don't really give them a straight answer. They're like, yep, that's right, but it's all fake. It's just a hoax, or is it? Then the 10-cap special applications insignia here. What this stands for, if you go to cabinetmagazine.org, it's an acronym for Tactical Exploitation of National Capabilities, a collection of programs that involve developing tactical battlefield applications out of reconnaissance, getting harped here, satellite capabilities, which are normally thought of as strategic. Special almost invariably means black or highly classified. The phrase is usually associated with Caligula, the first century Roman emperor. It translates to, let them hate so long as they fear. Let them hate so long as they fear. So they can hate you as long as they fear you. They control you by fear. That puts you in a fight or flight mode. You are a lot easier to deal with when you're in that state. You're not as creative, oftentimes. Some people are, the masses aren't. They keep you in a fear mode. They keep you in a fight or flight mode, never really wanting to come up with brilliant solutions and being creative because you're in that fear-based state, which they also feed off of in the archonic realms. Now, the triple serpent here, the triple cobra serpent. And then, never before, never again, all over the place, it's hard to escape the serpent. Now, if you go to this patch, this is available at collectiveevolution.com, was designed for the November 8th, 97 launch of the spacecraft USA 136, one of 3 to enter into the Trumpet constellation. It translates to, never before, never again, 3 Cobras wrapped around the Earth, continuing the common draconian imagery theme that runs throughout the military and the world. Even Asclepius has the rod with the serpent. But you notice it's not wrapped around him. The snake people. The lion snake. The desert prowler. What is the desert prowler? Well, if you go to livingmoon.com, a second patch associated with the classified Desert Prowler project. Again, the collection of 5 plus 1 stars. You see the 5 above, the 1 below. That's Area 51. This is an Area 51 patch. Operation Groom Lake, operating at Groom Lake, Nevada. The 6th Joker image from the album cover of the Here, let me click on this here. The Wraith, Shangri-La, the 8th studio album by American hip-hop group Insane Clown Posse, also represents death. Oops. It's not where I meant to go. Alien Technology Exploitation Division. If you go to Wired Magazine, and their official story is, a former officer, or what they were told the official story was, a former officer at Air Force Space Command tells that he and his friends had the patches made at their own expense after getting endlessly ribbed for working in a secure vault where they kept the alien bodies. They wore them on their flight suits for months before a one-star general asked where he could get one of his own. And at the bottom, that reference is don't ask. That's Klingon for don't ask. So there you go. Don't ask. It's just a conspiracy. This is available at Wired Magazine or wired.com. I'll leave the link in the video description box. Confirmed, the Air Force totally hides aliens from us. The Air Force totally hides aliens from us. The Air Force totally hides aliens. Don't ask. And finally, nothing is beyond our reach. So you can see here a list of the launches. This is the 39th. Flip it around. You've got 93. Look up 93 and Thelema. Type in 93 Thelema or 93 Aleister Crowley. So look at some of these different patches and names. The launch name, the first launch name was Nemesis. Were they searching for the Nemesis star? Let's take a look at the patch. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The Nemesis patch, the first launch. You've definitely got some Masonic symbolism in here, but the Masonic stuff is taking older symbols from previous dynasties and civilizations and cultures and secret societies and incorporating it into them, into their research and their degrees. But you can see clearly you've got the Baphomet, or the upside-down pentagram, and then the above pentagram. So you've got a 10-pointed star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on each side. 2 hearts, totaling 10. 2 hearts, 8 stars. Nemesis. You can see the pentagon inside of the pentagram, and then a pentagram inside of the pentagon, and then an upside-down pentagram inside of the pentagram, inside of the Baphomet, inside of the pentagram, inside of the cycle of destinies, the Bharavakla, or the Bhava Kakla, Hindu cycle of cycles, being consumed by none other than Mada, the demon of death. And look at that at the very top. What does that look like? Well, that looks a lot like the chapel in the Book of the Dead, or a chapel of a church, or a chapel referenced in the Sumerian tablets that houses the rocket, or one of the rockets, the technologies that were brought down by the Anuna gods, the Anunnaki. And remember, Ishtar, Inanna, tricks her dad, Enki, the trickster god, and takes his ship, his technologies. So, who is the being represented now? Who's at the top of the apex? Is it Enki? Is it Inanna? Is it Enlil? Is it Anu? Is it Marduk? Or are they all underneath this serpent archon influence now? And is the serpent archon influence a creation of theirs? Who created that? Where did it come from? Was it at one point created artificially and then turned into its own sentient level of being or consciousness, like Ray Kurzweil wants to do? Create a consciousness that will usurp up entire galaxies? I'm not exaggerating. Read the Singularity. And then we could get into this whole CERN technology, time travel, the Anunnaki, saying they came from the heavens? Did the Anunnaki just come from the future? And use that as a ploy, as a story. Could we be in some type of holographic video game right now, just imagining this because we're in a simulation that they've got us in, similar to The Matrix? You know, let me give you an example here. Let's type this in. Vertical chicken farm. Vertical chicken farm. While this is pulling up, it is so funny how my internet works flawlessly until... Okay, so go to Wired Magazine and read all about it. This is a vertical chicken farm, folks. This is what they want the future of chicken food to be. And they want to genetically modify the chickens so they'll become fatter and they won't have vision or hearing. They think that they won't feel as much pain that way. What if this is being done to us right now? But maybe this entity that has done this to us has at least given us some compassion, allowing us to live in a dualistic construct. I mean, these poor chickens don't even have that opportunity, do they? Imagine what's going on through their minds. Or the ones that are walking around in their own shit that never get to see daylight. Are you in a vertical chicken farm right now? What do you think? Question everything. Maybe be excellent to each other. Maybe we can be excellent to each other, and that can help us break out of this dark ecstasy-controlled, archonic, parasitic, dualistic Mahat. Be the change you want to see, folks. LeakProject.com.